Good evening, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Welcome. I'm so happy to see so many of you here. This is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. It's Wednesday, December the 4th, 2024, and the time is 5:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Family, we have wonderful news and some great things to talk about. I will have our special guest coming in just a moment. But at first, let me just tell you all, I appreciate so many of you all being here from all across the globe. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about the greatest wealth transference in history. We're going to hint a little bit about NESARA and Timeline, what that means for you and me, and how we're all going to be wealthy all across the globe. And Patriot Rod Steel, our resident financial expert, is going to talk to you about the RV, the revaluation of currencies, the global currency reset, Iraqi news, currency revaluations, exchanges, and all this juicy good news that's going to make us all wealthy all across the globe to make up for and compensate for the financial, economic, emotional, and physical enslavement of humanity all across the globe. So if you're ready to be wealthy, if you're ready to receive your abundance, call it in right now. Command your abundance to come in right now. Start clapping your hands right now and giving glory and honor and praise to the Most High, and glory and honor and praise to the ancestors. Come on, let's bring in and usher in this abundant time for us all right now, family, and set the atmosphere for welcoming the amazing Patriot Rod Steel. He is our resident financial expert. He is certified, licensed, and an expert in his field. Welcome, Patriot Rod Steel. Come on in, family, and welcome him.
Hi, Dr. Kia. It is
hello.
A pleasure to chat with you, whether or not we're doing a show or not.
It's always a pleasure.
One of God's great people, and a privilege to know you, and I am so thrilled to have that.
Thank you, Rod. For a long time, you were talking about NESARA and Timeline and the RV, like decades. I think over a decade ago, way before I came along.
I was doing this in the mid-late 90s.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And now here we are in a time period where, it's okay. We're in a time period, family, where the wealth will be injected into the global economy. I'm talking about trillions of dollars. And people have asked me, well, where's this money coming from? Now, remember, there are trusts all over the globe that ancient dynasties have created for the liberation of humanity. And then you have Executive Order 13818, which President Donald Trump actually put in place in 2017. And Executive Order 13818 freezes the assets of anybody involved in crimes against humanity. So you're talking about a group of bloodline families, so-called elite people. You're also talking about these fake government agencies that I've told you all about, 441 of them that were registered, that the Supreme Court of the United States just found treasonous and said they had to be overturned. All that money that they've collected, as well as the money that was associated to your birth certificate bond and your trust, because you each have a trust, every human on the globe, all that money will be returned back to you. And that is what the scripture meant when it says the wealth of the wicked is laid up or stored up for the righteous. It has now, during this time period, the golden era, been held for us. So all these assets have been frozen that these people stole from us, and it's going to be returned back to you and me. And so that's what the scripture meant when it says the meek shall inherit the earth, because these elite people are haughty, right? They're proud. The scripture says a proud spirit comes before a fall. Well, we, the so-called meek, who didn't have power, who didn't have wealth, will now realize and experience wealth. So I want to stop talking. I'm just excited when I talk about how we're going to be liberated. And now, Patriot Rod Steel, I turn everything over to you. What say you, Patriot Steel?
We are, just as you said, living out prophecy as we speak. And, I try to stick to the financial professional side of what I do so I don't ruffle any feathers. But folks, like it or not, this is biblical prophecy in action. And the politics that are a part of it are part of that prophecy. So you can like or not like who we are getting in administration, but there's no question in my mind that he is what God's chosen. Is he perfect? No. Do you have to like his personality? No. Do you need to pay attention to what he's doing globally with countries around this world? Absolutely. Everything he says and does has a purpose. Is he perfect? No. Who is? Are you? So why are you judging him? Okay. All that said, to say this, we are stepping into a time like has never been known before. That's not to say that it's all going to be roses and rainbows. We're going to go through some tough times, but you and I will be fine. Those of us involved in what we're talking about. And some of us will need to be able to reach out and help those who refuse to listen to us. And I know the immediate, and I feel the same way. I'm just as human as you are. It's like, hey, I preached to you in my case for over 25 years and you didn't listen. So why should I give you any of my time now? And yet there's people going to be hurting. And I'm reminded of in the biblical stories of when we had the 12 tribes that were all coming to Egypt to get grain because they hadn't stored up anything, but because of biblical dreams, Joseph was, had everything laid up in store for Egypt and was made number 2 underneath the Pharaoh. We are going to be Egypt to somebody in our circles.
Wow.
And they're going to be coming with their cups asking for grain. And so we may have to just suck it up and be gracious and be grateful that we were in a position to be able to help.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, first, before we get started, Rod, can you just tell a little bit about what qualifies you to do this? You've done a radio show. Can you just give a little bit of information about your financial qualifications so that people can know you're bona fide?
Well, I'm more experienced probably than qualified. But anyway, I did a BBA at Abilene Christian in management and marketing. I did a master's there in management and human relations, which was essentially psychological counseling, communications, and business management. I started in 1982 in banking. Was executive recruiter for the HR people, moving some of the middle and upper level bank executives across the country to major Dallas banks, and spent some time in the real estate and real estate development. Ended up because of economic situations, when banks aren't lending, you're not selling any real estate, folks. Right. So if there's no money, you're not going to be selling property. So that is a cyclical industry. And so I ended up going into insurance and in investments. That was in real estate 85, 86 for insurance, same year for 84 investments. So I've done mutual funds, stocks, bonds, you name it, everything that you're licensed to do. And that's essentially what your wealth managers do. And they call them wealth managers now. We were always financial planners up till then. Okay. And we'll talk about that in your consultation as how to approach those people. And some of the options that you'll have available as a result if you choose not to go that way.
Wait, you said consultation. So after we do this live, where you're going to talk about this wealth and currency revaluations, people will be able to contact you personally for a consultation.
Yeah, I'm going to let them DM me, as I mentioned in an X post earlier today.
Okay.
I don't need a long duration. I get people that tell me their life story. I would love to hear your life story, but I just don't have time. So please just say interested in consultation, and I will DM you back material of exactly how that works, what to look out for, what to expect. And we'll set up an appointment that you can do yourself through some very simple software that I'll provide a link to. And we'll get together and we'll do about 30, 40 minutes together. And we'll go over every detail of what you have and what you could expect to get, because it's going to be different for different people based upon what you're holding. And I can't answer that question blanketly, so don't ask me to go over rates here today. I could, but I'm not going to, because it'd just be confusing. So we'll address all that later.
Okay.
There's more to cover because it's been a while since I've been on. It's been just a minute.
Yes. It has been a while. Yeah. So that's okay. We got time today.
This has been a roller coaster, folks. I mean,
Yes.
we've got more information coming in faster from more directions now than we've ever had in the history of this thing. I mean, we're getting more literally in a week than we used to get in a month or two, and
Wow.
so things are happening not only daily but sometimes hourly. I mean, it's possible, but by the time I finish telling you what I have that was current when I started, it may have changed by the time I'm done. You know, it literally is happening that quickly. And I've been off a while. Those of you that know well, I never did finish. You asked me for my background. Okay, well, I kind of started out that way. I went on
Okay.
with the world's largest financial companies to be a rep, district manager, a regional vice president, executive vice president, just under the president of the company. And then I started my own firm for about 15 years. And actually got the privilege of meeting people through that I would have never met otherwise. And they introduced me to what we now blanketly refer to as the prosperity programs. They actually had individual trade names back then that they didn't want us using, which is why they came up with the blanket term prosperity programs. And no, you cannot be in them now. They've been signed up and closed for a long time. But they were the precursor of the currencies that we're involved in now. And matter of fact, what we're doing now, because of Zim and others, will be much larger and beneficial to those who are in humanitarian programs, essentially, than what we were doing initially with the prosperity programs. Anyway, I was doing international shows on that back before we had laptops and cell phones. I was doing these on a regular landline internationally to thousands every week, and until I ran across some boys in black that came knocking and said, if you want to get paid on these programs, you need to shut down and be quiet because we don't want it being exposed this quickly. And so I did, and when you see people behave in a manner that you might question, there's usually a reason behind it. And we've had judges that seem like good people that are making wrong decisions, and in Supreme Courts, I guarantee you those people have been gotten to. They're either threatening their lives or they're threatening their families' lives. And so in order to save one or both, they came up with what I would consider to be a wrong decision in order to, for their own self-preservation. That's just how these people operate. I personally have had 5 people I'm associated with, all taken out by deep state. 3 of them were done in the same instant in different parts of the world, all at the same time in the same way, and totally undetectable. And there's very few organizations large enough and that sophisticated to be able to pull something like that off. Another couple were involved in bringing us free Tesla energy electricity in the 90s. In the 90s, they were operating entire stadiums wirelessly with a unit about the size of your compressor on your standard 2,500 square foot home, running entire stadiums, doing it all over the nation. And it was becoming quite well known. People were signing up for them left and right. I still had the contract for mine. One of my best friends, who was a senior national sales director, just turned up mysteriously dead in his living room one time. And then I started checking out the CEO and president of the company, and it did not exist. The building was empty. The phone lines were cut. There was nobody there. There was no inventory. It was as if it had never existed. The power companies didn't want it. The government didn't want it, and they didn't want anybody interfering with their playground. So when I get all these DMs from people criticizing, giving their opinion on what they think I know or don't know or whatever, I used to argue that and try to explain the reality behind it. And lately, I don't have the time or care anymore. So, if you got something like that to say, you just know you're going to get blocked, and we're done.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. You don't have time for that.
But moving on. There's so much going on right now. It's phenomenal. So let me kind of follow up on where you introduced the show and
Okay.
say that the RV was originally intended only for the elites. We did this back with Kuwait in the 90s, and that was only known by politicians and military. And a
Hmm.
lot of them benefited, but we didn't have internet back then. We didn't have instantaneous
Right.
communications. And so only the people that were on the ground had the benefit of benefiting from that. So if you say, well, is it ever going to happen? Well, it's actually happened 3 times in Iraq already. So
Mm.
yes, it's most definitely going to happen. And they're telling them it's going to happen. And we're going to talk more about that.
Okay.
But they wanted to get so rich that the rest of us would be slaves forever. The
Mm.
Chinese elders who are supplying gold to fund this event leaked the information about the RV so that the plebeians, who are us,
Mm.
could get involved and change the world. The elders chose the Zim because it is no longer in circulation as a currency, although there is a new version out now, and was printed for a very short time, which was about 2 years, 2008, 2009. So there are limited numbers of notes. The elders are backing redemption of the bonds and set the Zim as a humanitarian project golden ticket, which is kind of what I was talking about as having replaced the original prosperity programs. Um, the Zim will pay in 2 ways. One is personal money for personal use. A second way is through humanitarian project financial support. You can receive money both ways, but the project money can only be used for the project. This allows us to receive the substantial funds we need to help and heal the world. The person only needs to buy a single $100 trillion note in order to ask for the large project funding. I don't believe all the projects will be funded, but I do think each person who has a $100 trillion note will have the opportunity to work with the humanitarian project staff and to figure out how to be active in healing the world. You can be involved at any level. You can basically say, here's my interest, and they say, well, here's projects that already fit your interest. Would you like to use your project money to contribute to that? And for a lot of us who are senior citizens, that's probably what you need to be doing. Because I guarantee you, if you've never run mega $100 million corporation, you're
Mm.
qualified to run an organization that large. I've out of the 300 plus I've already consulted with, literally, I've met about 5 that I would say have that ability. So they are few and far between, but they are out there. And
Well, can I stop 1 minute? So you mentioned the Zim. I just, for those who don't know, he's talking about the Zimbabwean bond. That is a government bond that's issued out on bond paper. You can buy it online, and it says at the top left-hand corner, this is a promise to pay the bearer upon demand. So it's one of the so-called like currencies, except this is a bond and would be redeemed. It's one of the currencies that people who are into this movement, this wealth movement, or who are investing in these different currencies have gotten into. So I just wanted to let people know what the Zim was. So go ahead, Rod.
yeah, and if y'all are ready, we can jump into a little bit about what's going on since around Thanksgiving. I could
Absolutely.
I could go backwards daily and just put you on a roller coaster ride that would have you pulling your hair out. That's what those of us do who are actually involved on a daily basis. Uh, but a lot has been happening in the background that general public doesn't know about. November 5th obviously changed everything, and it's actually we've had live rates off and on for the past 2 months at the banks. The IMF, UN have been in meetings, and like I said, after the election, you had everybody didn't know what to expect, and so you had everybody that was in leadership freaking out over the election. Some of them were excited, some of them were scared to death,
Yes.
and they were saying, oh my goodness, we're on the brink of World War III. Trump's going to cause everything to blow up. I've never understood the psyche of those people. Anyway, I've got a lot of them in my own family, but anyway, they didn't think this was ever going to happen as far as the RV was concerned. And it was all about the US dollars and BRICS and how it's going to affect the US. So they were thinking because of November 5th that people were jumping ship. We knew that the IMF would break things into about 5 different parts. But it's not them it's doing it. It's BRICS causing the breakup. BRICS is trying to let Europe use the euro. China, Russia, and Mexico are all reacting. And so basically for a while there, since Thanksgiving, the RV was kind of stopped cold in its tracks. And so, by the way, if you're tuning in early, middle, or late, don't think what you hear me say in that given moment is what it is, because you've got to be here from beginning to end to get the entire story.
Right.
I'm giving it to you play by play. And so if you only tune in for the moment that you're in and then you jump off, you're going to say, he said such and such. Well, yes, I did, but you didn't take it in proper perspective. So you've got to listen to the entire broadcast to get the whole story, folks. Don't take snippets and say I said something. You know? All right. So I'm just protecting myself there.
Yes.
All right. So basically, everybody was nervous and unsure. We had Janet Yellen resigning as Treasury Secretary on that Sunday after the 27th. The Deputy Secretary says that he will rubber stamp whatever it is that happens. And he won't be negotiating with anybody. So at this point in late November, we went from no RV to bringing back 3 of the currencies that were green lighted to go. And that was Dinar, Zim, and the Soberano Bolivar, which were all requesting to go now. And we had 4 or 5 other countries that were still renegotiating. And it really didn't make any sense to do it that way, because millionaires are just going to buy more of the rest, and example for Dong, and get a whole lot richer. Now, since then, very shortly after that, Dong was renegotiated. And since then is now a go as well. So now we've got 4 that are renegotiated: Dinar, Dong, Bolivar, and Venezuela Bolivar, and the Zimbabwe Zim. Okay. Federal Reserve was basically saying there was no time set, but it could be any time. And then new rates started coming out. I'm not going to go over those publicly, and don't ask me to. I will go over it in your consultation and what the various options are for you. Then let's see. Iraq, of course, is concerned that Trump's going to back Israel and it'll end up attacking Iran with a false flag event. I think they sell Trump very short. He's the only. Remember, I don't know why these people have such short-term memories. That's why history repeats itself so often, because nobody remembers what we already did. Go back for all those country leaders, like I'm sure the country leaders are listening to me, right? But anyway. If they would just go back and remember what happened between 2016 and 2020, Trump was the only president in history of the Americas ever to get nominated for 5 Nobel Peace Prizes.
Wow.
He was the only president that we have never been in war with anybody. We didn't fire a shot. If he had been president the last 4 years, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. And yet we got all these people freaking out going, oh my goodness, we're going to go into World War III. No, if he doesn't get in, we might.
Right.
All right. So let me move on here. We got Trudeau and Mexico, and they're all wanting to meet because they're freaking out about tariffs and stuff. Well, they should be, because what they're all arguing is, oh my goodness, America's going to charge everybody and all of our prices are going to go up. There may be some of that. But what they don't take into consideration is we're the only country that's not charging anywhere close in tariffs to what all the other countries are charging us. Okay. And I mean, it's mind-boggling how much we pay in tariffs. And yet nobody ever asks that question. Well, what's America paying you in tariffs? Never comes up in the media. Nobody ever addresses it. Why is that? We know it's because of who owns the media and the narrative they're trying to get across. And apparently it's working with most of the blind public that I call the sheeple. All right. Um, so you had Trudeau and the president of Mexico trying to get or we're going to Mar-a-Lago to tell Trump, this just isn't the way, tariffs don't work that way. We're all worried, sick, and blah, blah, blah. Walmart's already announcing, along with several other countries, that they're raising prices in January because of it. And nothing's even happened yet. Let's see here. None of the four countries have gone yet, obviously, as far as the RV is concerned, but all want to. Last Friday, the IMF celebrated, thinking that everything was a go. They went in on a Friday to work, and of course, nothing happened. Canada and Mexico were creating an anti-Trump war room, basically. China actually did turn around 12 of their cargo ships back to China that were coming to the U.S., and I'll give a little more on that later. They're all agreeing to just trade with each other. And so what's going to happen when the value of the U.S. dollar drops? Well, obviously, we know that. So you've got the UN, the C, alphabet soup boys. I don't like to say that on the air because people, in case you don't know it, another three-letter group that starts with an N that most people don't ever think about has computerized equipment and has had for a couple of decades. That even back when you were on the landline, if you use certain keywords or alphabetical nomenclature, it automatically triggered recording devices by that agency, and they started monitoring your conversations once the equipment picked up on that. Now, whether or not they listened to it or not was a totally different story. But the fact is, they had you on record at that point. So that's why I try not to list out all those things. All these agencies were upset, UN, IMF, and so forth. Trudeau met with Trump in Mar-a-Lago. Prices are going to go up if everything increased. If you increase the tariffs, jobs are going to be lost. China and Japan and other countries are all agreeing to drop the U.S. From doing trade. Trump said anybody not using the U.S. dollar will not be allowed to trade with the U.S., and that's exactly what all the other countries were agreeing to do. So, basically, we used to be an export country. Now we actually import 85% of everything we consume. And most of that comes from China. And of course, all of what Walmart sells comes from China. So that's why they're going up on their prices, because they're getting these tariff increases. This time Trump says, well, unlike in the last administration, there's not going to be any handouts this time. You got high-level discussions around the world trying to stop trading with the U.S. Now, one interesting thing is an article you may have seen recently. Trump told Trudeau that if 100 million in charging the U.S. 100 million in tariffs already, which we're already paying, isn't enough to keep Canada functioning, then maybe you would just like to become our 51st state, and you can be the governor of that. And they got a pre-plan in place in case that were ever to happen. They're going to divide Canada up into about 5 regions, and they've even got a plan for Mexico in case they decide to become a state and divide that up. It's even more than the 5, like 9 or something like that. But anyway, it's interesting to see how people behind the scenes do all these contingent plans. In case this happens, we can do this.
Yes. Yes.
So he was just kind of letting him know, it's like, hey, we've been paying more than our fair share. You can either pay your fair share or you can just become one of us and we'll control you completely. So I find he doesn't scare. I just love that about him. And just a side note, the way things are under the last administration, we've got illegal aliens getting paid in New York and other places, LA, to learn English. They're getting free housing, either in 5-star hotels or just housing, and free medical care. As a matter of fact, the company I used to work for is actually the ones providing that free medical care to illegal aliens from Mexico. And so I didn't know that till after I left them. Anyway, so we have a number of confirmations from sources in Iraq that there's now the 250 and 500 denominations are being distributed in Iraq. As a matter of fact, even the smaller ones, 5, 10, 20, 50, are all now starting to be disseminated into the Iraqi economy.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Of course.
I've heard that now they have lower denominations. So is that a good sign for us that hold the currency?
Well, absolutely. You've got to have a certain amount out there floating in the marketplace in order to be able to make change. Now, we're going to address that because that 250 and 500 are essentially worthless right now under the current rates, because with current pricing of the dinar note, you're looking at about 19 cents on a $250 note, and a 500 dinar note's worth about 38 cents. So why would you dump so many of these notes in the last couple of days? You know, there's got to be some reasoning behind it, right? Maybe they're using them as a bridge to the basic lower denominations of the 5, 10, 20, and 50, and so forth, and 100. And now we're seeing those. Those have been posted online. If you look, you can find them. We've you know, the 500 we've seen the cut sheets for the 50 and the 100 notes out already, and even the actual notes are disseminating into the public now. So, for example, if it went from the 250 note went from 19 cents to even to 10 cents per dinar, it jumps up to around $25. If it went in total U.S. value to $1, now you're looking at $250. And they have enough lower denom circulating that they can make change now. So why have a lot of $250 dinar notes that are only worth 19 cents in U.S. A piece? It's pointless. So an Iraqi news article headlines related to that. On the occasion of Victory Day, December 10th, official working hours will be suspended in Iraq next Tuesday. And then on December 3rd, the Council of Ministers decided to suspend the official working hours for next Tuesday, the 10th of December, in celebration of Victory Day and the anniversary of the liberation of the land of Iraq from the Daesh terrorist gangs, which was ISIS. There are many reports out of Iraq. They plan to have the value raised by Victory Day, and that's a week from Tuesday, the 3rd. According to Al-Mullah, the general amnesty law will not release terrorists, but rather retrial and investigations. Also in the news, the central bank signs a memorandum of cooperation with the European Union and Germany to strengthen the financial markets in Iraq. So they're doing everything in exact order that needs to be done in order for this to happen in an organized fashion. The Minister of Finance affirms the government's keenness to implement reforms to ensure the stability of the national economy. So what Soudani and Shababi said in the white papers and in the reforms all along is happening now. Also, you've got parliamentarian controversial laws will be carried over to next legislative term if they are not approved. So don't worry, they have a plan to move forward. We got the Chinese elders who are key to the RV. I talked about that in the very beginning. They are putting in the codes earlier already on December 3rd for the Dubai 1 and 2 Trust to have those ready to fund. And there are two of the ones that you addressed earlier that are so huge. And the different trusts fund different groups. And then most of us, they're saying in 4B, and realize when I give you one time frame 1 minute and one time frame the next, that's because different sources have access to different information. So
Okay.
they're giving you their perspective, and I'm giving you all of them. So they're thinking that most in 4B won't see this till after Trump is official, January 20th, but it could be sooner. There's a group in Texas and a group in Switzerland who they're confirming got paid. Trump is heading out of the country, and NESARA won't be announced till the president is out of the country. That was one of the original statements by NESARA back when we talked about that. Like I said, back in the 90s, everything I talked about then is coming together now, folks. I thought I was going to be wealthy 25 years ago.
Wow.
Wow. Then we had 9/11. And
right.
We started on that because that's an entire show unto itself. There were a lot of reasons for 9/11, and none of it had anything to do with what the multimedia gave you. Okay.
So 9/11, one of the things 9/11 did was to stop this or halt this wealth being transferred to we the people, correct? Okay. That's why they did it. Okay.
I knew CEOs of finance companies that I dealt with then were called on the weekend and told not to come in to work on Monday.
Oh my gosh.
So it wasn't any accident.
Okay.
And there were also demolition teams planning that were setting explosives at every stairwell up and down from top to bottom in sequential order so that it would come down in exact timing. And that was before we knew about the those disintegration rays they've used.
Yes.
You ever ask yourself why there was nothing but you got 110 stories and you had basically 5 stories of dust and rubble, mostly dust. And so where were all of the iron girders? Where were all the steel depths? Where were the stairwells? You don't melt like that. They were disintegrated. There's a lot more to this, and it's going to come out in the those loops that we're going to be informed about. Okay. Where were we?
9/11.
That's right. Now then, so this is just a side note. In Australia, we've got ships coming into Australia, just like we had back on October 18th, when 265 members of Congress got picked up and basically, I'm told, replaced by actors. It's confirmed that the national debt was paid by Trump back in 2018. The last 2 entities of the cabal to be removed will be the mainstream media and the IRS. We expect a NESARA announcement within the next 10 days, hopefully. That date given was December 9th, which kind of sent mixed messages. A document is coming regarding mass deportation. We're awaiting news on the Brunson case. And looking for a date on the med beds, which I'm hearing are now separated from the actual RV itself, but will still be coming out at about approximately the same time. I'm not an XRP expert by any means. Don't ask me those questions. I'm not qualified to answer those. I've got it.
That's one of the questions.
That I know a guy that helped me with mine. Don't ask me to ask you because he's in another country. But anyway, I'm all for it. If you can and are able, I would recommend you get some. I'm going to give you a couple of side notes here. XRP Ledger embraces precious metal. These are articles. XRP Ledger embraces precious metal-backed stable coins with milled gold, backed by 1 gram of gold or silver. So they're going to have value, obviously. Wells Fargo, in another article, now approves payment of credit cards and loans with XRP. Of course, those are all going to go away anyway. And one of my personal favorites, Texas proposes gold and silver-backed currencies to compete with fiat money in their process of joining BRICS. So basically Texas is setting itself up to, if it wanted to secede from the country, it's putting itself in a position where it could.
Absolutely.
We got Iraq expecting a rate by the 10th. They will disguise it, of course, in articles over there. At the same time, they're telling people to expect it. They're just not giving them a specific. Rates in the background are moving up. XRP could go to $9 and then level off for a while before about $15 to $30, and then I think it's just go to, I think the sky's the limit on it, because once it becomes actively used, I think it's just going to go up and up and up. You got XLM, which of course XRP is associated with gold, XLM is associated with silver, and they both play hand in hand with the quantum financial system operation. XLM being a registration program. Anyway, I'm not qualified to get in there, so don't go there with me. I'm just telling you that they're both going to go up, as well as XDC, which of course is associated with copper. And I hear there's about 4 others. They call them the 7 dwarfs, but those are the top 3. Anyway, so back to what I do know. China is banning exports to the U.S. now of gallium, germanium, I can't even pronounce that, antimony, and other key high-tech materials. And so that's in response to their anticipated tariff increases. So we'll see how that works out. But I have a feeling that Mr. Trump will get it smoothed over.
Yes.
So at this point, on Wednesday, the 4th, we had the 4 currencies still green lighted and scheduled to go between now and the weekend. BRICS will be launching in January with 50% of all countries involved. ZIM will not be on Forex, nor will the higher rates of other currencies. One person, well, I'm not going to go there. I'll cover details of that in your consultations. All currencies in the original basket. This is key. Okay, if you were listening before, definitely listen now. Okay, all currencies in the original basket are now renegotiated and ready to go again. So we're right back where we were prior to Thanksgiving. And in other news, we've got Donald Trump Jr. saying that the Doge, that's a weird name, Doge, it's Department of Government Efficiency. Okay. Reminds me of a German comedian I know. He talks about how efficient the Germans are about everything. Anyway, he came right out and said, Donald Trump Jr., they're planning to ditch the 7,000-page U.S. tax code and replace it with a flat tax.
That's a part of NESARA.
Yes, they just don't call it that.
Okay.
Trump merged the Federal Reserve into the U.S. Treasury 4 years ago, but now it's being rolled out to the public. And so that was just posted today or yesterday, something like that. Iraqi parliament is expecting their 3rd vote on accepting the census, which affects how the oil money is distributed. You had some that were arguing that they weren't getting enough, but apparently they're coming to an agreement now. Sadani has been pushing for this. Once completed and passed, if today, the new rate will be sent to Forex. If later, the next date to be updated on Forex will be Sunday or Monday. It is my understanding some parties are being paid to block it on their end over there in Iraq. So you got deep state everywhere. Yeah. They're pushing to get the HCL official this week. And in relation to that, Central Bank of Iraq is pleased to present the Iraqi banknotes in circulation. We talked about this, but this is just the official notice of it, December 2nd. The technical leaflet highlights the security features and aims to be a guide to the public as well as to companies and commercial banks handling cash on a daily basis. In addition to the enhanced security features, the banknotes, including raised printings to facilitate tactile recognition of the denominations by visually impaired users. We encourage you to take your time to familiarize yourself with our banknotes and share the information with those around you. The current series of banknotes will be in circulation alongside the old banknotes, and there is no intention to withdraw the older banknotes from circulation. That's from the Central Bank of Iraq.
Mm.
And I wanted to go over, in relation to all that, by not addressing the cash withdrawal, this is in Iraq, Iraq may be maintaining control over how much currency is in circulation. The introduction of a new exchange rate could lead to significant withdrawals if people anticipate a change in the dinar's value, potentially causing economic instability. If the public knew when cash withdrawal limits or processes would change, this could lead to speculation and market manipulation. By keeping this information undisclosed, it prevents premature withdrawals or hoarding of currency that might occur if speculators had a date for the RV or RI. Am I still on? Because I see me. It looks like we lost Dr. Kia. There you are.
I'm here.
All right. So changing withdrawal policies simultaneously with an RV or RI could be part of a broader strategy to manage liquidity in the economy. An unannounced change would allow for a more controlled environment where the central bank can adjust the supply of currency without causing panic or a rush to withdraw or deposit money. Just a second here. Speculation and market manipulation. Yeah. By keeping this information undisclosed, it prevents premature withdrawals or hoarding of currency that might occur if speculators had a date for the RV or RI. Changing the withdrawal policy simultaneously with the RVRI could be part of a broader strategy to manage liquidity in the economy. An announced change would allow for a more controlled environment where the central bank can adjust the supply of currency without causing panic or a rush to withdraw or deposit money. All right. Not addressing this aspect keeps the timing of the RV unpredictable, which might be strategic to managing economic expectations and reactions. If the public knows when these changes would occur, it could affect consumer behavior, potentially leading to inflation or deflationary pressures before the actual implementation. Alak specifically said, within 2 weeks, the bank's relationships will be transferred directly to correspondent banks without passing through other links, and the process has been completed. Just a second, got some overlap here.
So let me interject just a minute for those of you who are just joining. To be clear, we're talking about right now the currency revaluation. You'll hear people call it the RV, that's the revaluation, or the RI, that's the reinstatement. What that basically means is that countries' currencies are about to be reinstated back to their normal value based on the resources that each countries have. So you heard Rod talk about the Zimbabwean Zim, the Iraqi Dinar, the Vietnamese Dong, the Venezuelan Bolivar, and I think that might have been the major currencies. So what happened in history was, you heard him say that the elites only knew about this, and back in the time when people would make money from having currencies, you didn't have the internet. So we, the people, didn't know it. Only certain elite people like CEOs of banks, CEOs of major corporations, presidents of different countries, CEOs of maybe other important entities, maybe even government agencies, the top of them. So what happened in history was that if a country did not want to trade using the United States dollar, then the United States military would go over to those countries and fight them and cause a war. So the United States Incorporated would punish countries who didn't want to use the dollar for trade by either sanctioning them, putting sanctions on them, economic sanctions, or war. And the United States Incorporated, the bloodline families would fund both sides of the war. And then the country would be decimated and the country's currencies would be devalued, meaning the currencies that had a high rate would then go down and the whole GDP would be horrible. So then after the war, remember, the United States would fund both sides of the war. The United States would go into those countries, rebuild the nations, rebuild the infrastructure, and then their currencies would go back up in value. Well, people who knew about this and knew how this happened once the country's currencies have been devalued through the war, they would go into those countries and buy up the currencies. And then once the United States went in and rebuilt the infrastructure and then the currencies were revalued, then the people who held those currencies that had bought them once they had devalued through war would then go to the bank and get a new exchange rate based on now those currencies going up in value with the GDP exploding, the infrastructure being built up, et cetera, et cetera. This is how CEOs became wealthy, presidents became wealthy, banking people at the top levels, they earned millions of dollars, and some became billionaires. And even some people at the highest level of the military who knew about this, okay, they became millionaires. Only a very few select people knew about the revaluation of currencies. So why was it important for them to trade with the dollar to begin with? Because what gave the United States incorporated in our country financial and economic hegemony, and what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency, was our agreement with Saudi Arabia that we would protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil. And then we would force all other nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia and to use the dollar doing that. Well, many nations said, we don't want to do that. So they start trying to trade in their own currencies. They tried to trade with gold, from Saudi Arabia. They had to get it from Saudi Arabia because we were the superpower, right? And so again, they had to use the dollar. So, but if they didn't want to, that's what I mean. That the United States would send their military in their countries, decimate the countries, and bring down the currencies to no value. Well, now we're in an era, what we call CRONA. That's what the elites were talking about when they talk about it. Means gold. It means crown, as in your crown chakra being activated, as in wealth being restored and gold being restored to the people. We're in the golden era, the Kali Yuga, the age of Aquarius. Now we, the people, know about this. So we have invested in those currencies that have been devalued. Okay. But now that time when those countries cannot, they could not trade using their own countries' currencies, that's over. And that's what we had talked about many podcasts about Project Sandman. It was a secret agreement between 209 nations behind the scenes to, when triggered, they would stop trading with the dollar and use their own currencies backed by gold and silver. We're in that time now. So BRICS has joined together, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they said, we're going to implement Project Sandman. We're going to drop the dollar. We're going to use our own country's currencies backed by precious metals. So all those countries repatriated their gold and their precious metals from the Vatican, and they made contracts and contractual agreements with China to mine the gold in their countries. So now all this gold is going to back their currencies, and their currencies are about to be reinstated, RI, back into their normal value, and revalued, the RV, back to their normal value based on the resources that each countries have. And now that we're in this time, you can get in on this wealth transfer by either getting what he talked about, digital assets, XRP, XLM, XLD, but he's not an expert in that area. We'll have to bring somebody else on to talk about that. Or you can get these currencies he's talking about, the Zimbabwean Zimbon, the Iraqi Dinar, what else he talk about? The Venezuelan Bolivar, and some other currencies. And we'll talk about more later. But I just wanted to bring you up to speed so that you can know exactly what we're talking about when we mention things like RV, RI. I see some of your questions. So I'm going to be quiet and we'll answer some of your other questions later. All right, Patriot Rod Steel.
Well, so yeah, let me wrap this up here. Specifically noting that there is international anticipation to celebrate this occasion. So, just kind of summarizing everything you've led up to there. He only addressed the new mechanisms for external transfers, which are already implemented and functioning smoothly, with challenges addressed, and the direct correspondent banking relationships, which will be completed within 2 weeks by December 9th. First time this will happen in over 21 years in Iraq. There's one other part that needs to end, the cash withdrawal portion, which Alac never addressed, because that would tell you when the RVRI actually is. It's likely that he ends it at the same time without giving a date, so that speculators can't get a read on when the RVRI actually will be. However, he never addressed it. So when I'm hearing anything between right now, this weekend, the
Okay.
9th, 10th, definitely before the end of the year, or some sources in Europe, which are related to the bond mechanisms, which go before us. A lot of those have to be funded, or at least partially funded, as a contribution toward making sure there's liquidity for those of us in what we call 4B, which are those of us that are knowledgeable currency holders, as opposed
Yes.
to Tier 5 being the general run-of-the-mill public that somebody just brought some home and left them with their family or something. Anyway, there's got to be money to fund that. So
Okay.
it's coming from a lot of different directions, but apparently the bond people are a portion of that. And so for that reason, and those haven't been fully funded by any means, some of them have only had 1%, some of them haven't had any at all yet. They're claiming that it could actually be after January 20th when Trump takes office. So either way you go, I'd say we're within 6 weeks maximum. Or possibly as early as this weekend. So somewhere in between there.
Okay. That's awesome. Yes. Thank you, Rod. That's awesome.
And if that will help you prepare, and I guarantee you it will. I've had over 300 clients sign up. I haven't had one complaint yet. That's a pretty good record.
Very good record. Yes.
People who DM'd me and said, yeah, I would like a private consultation regarding my currencies and what I can do to be better prepared for my redemption appointment. I'm going to tell you where you need to go, how you need to ask for it, how you're going to access that, what you're going to prepare for before going in, what you're going to have outlined for yourself when you're there, and what you need to cover, what you need to say, what you don't need to say, and after the fact as well, because that's when your real life begins. And you've got to start knowing how to handle everything. You're in a different ball game at that point, folks. And so you got to start acting like it. I have had the luxury of being involved in this industry for 3 decades, over almost 4. So I'm accustomed to dealing with high net worth individuals. But if you've never been one, it's all new to you. And so all the more benefit and reason to have these consultations with me. And I'm going to include, for new people doing it, some additional forms to help you. I will email those to you at the conclusion of our consultation to make sure that you have got all of your ducks in a row and you are properly prepared and you have an outline of what to say and do and prepare for in advance, during, and after the fact. So, and if I do have clients, of which I know I do, have not benefited by that, DM me as well for that, and I will tell you how to get those forms. So that way everybody will be covered, nobody gets left out, and I just hope I have time to get to everyone before this takes place. I do know I'm not going to be available Friday evening the 13th, and I think I've got stuff going on. I don't book weekends, so just know that there's a when you DM me, I'll send you software that shows you how, or a link to software that shows you how to set your own appointment. And I need to go in there and block that Friday night out on the 13th. I know I've got stuff scheduled then. But outside of that, we will get started and jump on this and make sure you're ready.
Yeah. And so you're talking about consultations. I just want to show people where they can contact you. So family, you would go to X or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, and you will look for Patriot Rod Steel. This is what his page looks like. Here he has Trump 1 in the back, Patriot Rod Steel here. DM him, send him a direct personal message. And when they send you a DM, do they need to send a consultation fee as well, or do they wait for you to get back with them?
No, I will send them all of that information when they reply. And I just caution people not to just look at the banner and the picture and the information on the site, because all of that has been copied by trolls and people trying to make money off of my image and my material. So make sure that you have the make sure you have the address correct, that it is Patriot Rod Steel with no E on the end. Anything else is a copy. And I've had people going to incorrect addresses. I've had people paying shysters more than I get, I can guarantee you, for bogus, misleading information. They never get it. What they're doing is totally illegal. You have to be licensed in all 50 states to even propose doing what they're talking about, and they're not. So it would thrill me to see those people in jail. I'm just saying, make sure you have the address correct, because people have been shystered, unfortunately, by quite a bit in some cases. There's at least a half a dozen clones of my X account. There's clones of my Cash App account. There's clones of my PayPal account. And they look like me, sound like me, talk like me. They're not me. And so make sure that you get the ones I give you, or you're not dealing with the real Joe McCoy, which is me.
and you mentioned your Cash App, so I want to put it up for our soul family who is grateful for the information that you provided. And if you have time, I hope you have just a little bit of time to answer some of their questions.
If they get consultation involved, I won't do them here, but I'll try to answer generic ones.
Generic questions here. Okay, if you desire to send him a Cash App for the information that he's given us so far, you can send a Cash App blessing to Patriot Rod Steel at $TheMayor 84. That's $the Mayor 84. So if you see me looking back and forth, I'm on my computer and my phone looking at my different social media accounts. So he has been very, very helpful over the years in helping our soul family members understand this process. And he's giving you the paperwork so that when you go to the bank and you're ready to cash in, I don't know if that's the right or is it cash in, or how do you say exchange the currencies? You can have the proper verbiage and the proper paperwork. So you can send him a Cash App at $the Mayor 84 if you just want to send him a blessing, or if you would like to have a consultation with him where he can answer your questions at length, then please DM him, send him a private message on his Twitter account. And here he is again. But Patriot Rod Steel, people have asked me, how do they contact you if they don't have Twitter?
I'd recommend getting it. I mean, the thing is, I've even had clients that will email or text my direct line, because once you've been through the consultation, I will give you that for future follow-up after the RV, because we're going to provide some service after post RV for people who have already been through the consultation. And they'll email me. I usually do see the text, but I get 100 emails a day. And so, well, I emailed you 3 or 4 times. Well, I never saw it. I'm sorry. If I don't know you're sending it to me, I don't look for it. And it gets mixed in with hundreds of others that, I just don't pay attention to.
Yes.
It would be best if you could get X. It's very easy. I will not give out my email to non. It's just too confusing. I tell you what, if you absolutely cannot load it, it's very simple to do. But if you can't, get in touch with Dr. Kia, and she knows how to reach me directly, and I pay close attention to that girl. And if she messages me, trust me, I respond. So,
you're so kind. Thank you.
If that's your case, then I will give your information to her, and I will follow up with you through her that way.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you guys can contact me at kiapruitt@gmail.com. That's KIAPRUITT@gmail.com. And you let me know that you need to get in touch with Patriot Rod Steel, and I will contact him on your behalf.
And let me add this, not to be tooting my own horn, but it's just a fact. Those that do the consultations, you are going to have millions of dollars of difference made because of the knowledge you'll have that you would not have gotten on your own. Anyone that complains about, we hear that term slung around now about Patriot, P-A-Y-T.
Yes.
I get amused by that.
People,
go through what I've been through for 30 years and tell me that that's not worth something. Or the fact that the millions I'm going to make you in advance because of the information that you've received weren't worth multiple times more than what you put out.
Mm,
I don't like saying it because at this point we really don't have time, but
yeah.
I will try to work with anyone who wants to. I will not. I try not to deny anyone. I will be honest. People in foreign countries that might be listening might not be as valuable to you,
Mm,
because my knowledge specifically is how the U.S. banks work and how the QFS system here works, and how you will be working in and out of that in both cases. It's different in England, UK, Australia, Spain, other countries, Taiwan, Japan. I've talked to all of them, and some of them have actually said, hey, you've given us more than we had before, and we're grateful
mm,
for that. If you feel like that's the case and you want to try it and there's a multiple hour time difference, I have accommodated that in the past. I will
mm,
try, but I
mm.
need you to know in advance you're not going to get as much detailed information to benefit you as the people who live here in the United States would.
Okay. Wow, you've been a wealth of knowledge. You've always helped us out over the years. We've probably been friends about 2 or 3 years, maybe even more now. And I consider you our resident financial expert because
Well,
you have all the knowledge about this.
you're my best promoter, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you, Rod. I am just overjoyed to have you on. But I do want to say, we have a few questions, and I know you don't want to talk too much about or go too much into depth about this, but we have maybe a couple paid questions and some general questions. Do you have any time to answer those?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, hi, Sophie. Sophie Lee says, lots of love, Dr. Kia Pruitt and Patriot Rod. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you for the blessing. We really appreciate you. And then we have somebody, Sister Deidre Dukes on Instagram says, are you saying that we'll be able to exchange our currency soon? Actually, he said, yeah, it seems like within the next 6 weeks, hopefully sooner, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think they've been waiting for Donald Trump to come back now that he's the president elect. Um, I don't know if that has any bearing, Rod, but you mentioned the Brunson case, and if
Well,
the
it
Brunson, go
really
ahead.
is bearing. I mean, he's essentially acting as president now, as
I
far as dealing with all these other countries. And a lot of people say that he never left, at least from a military perspective.
Mhm,
I do know when Biden first took office, he approached Michael Cottrell, who is one of the people involved in coding, certainly not the only one,
mm,
but actually asked him to revert all the fiat money back. In other words, not put in any code and let them have full control over it again, which would
mhm.
have ruined the entire RP process. And so basically,
Sorry, family.
there were advances, don't get me wrong, but as far as expediting this thing, we were almost dead in the water for 4 years.
Mm,
And so now everything that's been going on behind the scenes is being brought to fruition on the surface, and you're starting to see things in mainstream media as well as everywhere else, and so now it's kicked into high gear, no doubt about it.
mm, Yeah, so he's been acting as commander in chief for a long time, and we see, like you said, things kicking into high gear now that he's the president elect. I also heard you mention the Brunson case, and that case, family, is a case of a group of trumpet players who brought a lawsuit or a case against Joseph Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress because, according to the suit, they had posed a security breach to our nation by either participating in fraud or allowing it to happen. And if the Supreme Court has indeed heard that case, which we believe that we know that they have heard the case based on our intel, if in fact it is proven that the Supreme Court heard that case and ruled in favor of the Brunson brothers, then that means that the whole administration of the Biden administration can be considered null and void, because if you had tampering of the what in 2020 and 2022 ELECTIONS, then that means that that whole administration could be dismantled and Trump can come forward even sooner than January during the inauguration. Is that what you understand too?
Exactly. Okay. And it negates all of Biden's executive orders that reversed everything that Trump did. And so it essentially, and essentially all those people in Congress are not legal either. And so you'll have an entire flushing of the system.
Okay. Excellent.
That's all going to come out. It's going to be, we didn't even talk about there's too much to cover in one show, but
okay.
As the endless loops that we're going to have during this 10-day of, exposure, that's all going to be part of it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Not by Christmas by Kim Clement prophesied. Well, yes. I don't have Kim Clement's gift of prophecy, but I have really good sources, and all of them are in agreement with that, except for two. And they're the ones that are saying probably late January. But anyway, I was actually at a Kim Clement service in Dallas way back in 2008 or 9, I think it was. He was present as a special guest.
Okay.
And, he announced then that there were people in the audience who would benefit magnificently from God's blessings that he was preparing for his people.
Oh my God.
He didn't use any names, but I claimed that as one of mine.
Right. Wow, what a blessing to have been a part of his service, because that man seemed to be very anointed. Like everything that I've heard that he said has come to pass in these last like 4 to 7 years.
And he's very inspirational. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gaynor, for the blessing. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me see how much more time do you have, Patriot?
I'm done. So whatever you want.
Okay, let's see. Family, I appreciate you all for sending him blessings and for staying tuned to us. I also see you all here sending me Cash App blessings. So thank you so much. I'm grateful to you. I appreciate your love and your support.
Because if you weren't keeping her on the air, folks, I wouldn't be on the air. And then I don't have anything. Without her, I'm nothing. So all my appreciation to Dr. Kia, because I don't really, people said, I want you to do your own show because I've got a producer that would love to do that. I just keep reverting back to the people in black that came to visit. And like, okay, I don't really need to be in the public eye every single day. If I've got something important to say, then I've got people like Dr. Kia who will let me come on and say it. And so we work together as a team.
We do. We sure do. It's my greatest pleasure to be here to provide a platform for you, because you're educating me as well as the Soul family. So we need each other to survive. People are saying they're glad they found us. Let's see who's that. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's see. I saw some questions.
It's ROD, not ROB.
ROD. Good evening. It's Rod Steel family. So if you're looking for him on Twitter or X, it's Patriot Rod, ROD Steel, STEEL, with no E on the end, STEEL. Jamie says, you get me and my boyfriend so excited when you're coming on live. We know you have good news. Love and light. I see you're from Ohio. That's where I was born and raised.
Oh,
okay.
Well, one of the regional centers I worked for was based in Ohio. Am I allowed to say their name? It was Molina Healthcare. So
okay. I've heard Molina Healthcare.
The ones providing the free medical care to the illegal aliens.
Oh, wow. Lord have mercy. I hope some of these companies get dismantled. I really do. Let me see. I saw some more questions. Somebody had asked me to ask you earlier if I think South Korea had called for martial law for their country, and they asked, is that an indication that we're close to the RV?
I think it's one. There's several that experience is either brewing or in the process of happening. It's just one more trigger that lets us know that we're there.
Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you so much, MM. And then Pamela says, what's the consultation fee? You want to answer that, Rod? I already know what you're going to say.
I'm not going to do that because I have too many trolls that are negative to me already. And so I will certainly disclose that in the DM response.
Okay, perfect. Here's another question. When talking, hi Ken, nice to see you. Thank you for joining the show. He asks, when talking about the ZIM bond, are the agro checks included in that? And can I have your perspective on the agros? He asks.
Yes, the agros are included. They do have separate rates, and we'll discuss those in your consultation.
Yeah, I've seen the agro checks. They're not expensive, family. So if you're interested in the agro checks, get you some. And people have asked me, where do you get the currencies?
Well, there's numerous online companies that are available. I personally have my own little private dealer that I enjoy working with, have had for years. And my observation is the rates with this person are less than what you will pay at most of the online companies. The difference is it's your comfort factor. Okay, if you need to know that your currency has a certificate of authenticity and has been vetted and has the company standing behind it as such, then you need to pay the higher rates at the online companies like Banknote World, for example. Excellent company, they will give you fine service. You're just going to pay for it. And if you've been in the business a long time like I have, and you're comfortable without having that, and you're willing to just get the currency for the currency's sake, then I have another person that during consultation I can provide you that information, and you make your choice. If you want to use them, fine. If you don't, fine. I've never had a problem, and I've done quite well and have been able to procure a lot more that way than I would have had I gone with the higher priced companies. I'll just give you a quick example. 100T ZIM now is going for in excess of $300. I've heard $350, in that range. Last time I checked, I think she was doing them for about $125, $135, something like that. So you're looking at nearly a 2 to 3 to 1 ratio of return, if you're willing to take that chance. I'm not telling you that you should. I'm just saying it's an option.
Yeah. And they need to get some currencies if you were interested in getting them now, because there are some companies that have sold out of the currencies, I've heard, or they're out of stock. So I'm wondering if these countries are they getting the money off the street? I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, they're just waiting to get more from the countries that distribute them. They're selling out so fast they can't keep up with the demand.
Wow. Thank you.
I haven't had that problem with my person yet because they're not that well known.
Okay. And maybe during the consultation, if somebody wants to know who his contact is, maybe he'll tell you.
I'll send it directly to you during the consult. You get everything in the consultation. It's like having me with you at the appointment, which I've actually had people try to negotiate that as well. And
that's awesome.
I've given them a fee for what it would cost, and some I may still be willing to do it. I don't know. I don't really want to do it.
Here's thank you, Joe. This is great. Joe says, for the second year in a row, my school taxes came with a balance of 0.
Wow.
Is this NESARA?
What state are you in?
What state are you in, Joe? Please let us know. Somebody says, how about the foreign currencies that we have? Are you asking, will they be, can you get an exchange on them? We don't know what the question is. Which ones do you have, my darling?
Without more specifics, I would say take everything you've got with you.
Okay.
Because they may not take it all. There are going to be different baskets as we go through this process, and we can go over more of that in the consultation. But the word I got from the bankers was, bring it all, and we'll tell you if we don't want to deal with it right now. And then you'll hang on to that until the next time. The difference is you're going to have a higher net worth in order to participate in the second basket. But you'll be able to because you're in the first one. So that's no problem. It's just that they're weeding out this ever happening again by the general public.
Mm,
So this is your one shot.
one shot. And what a blessing, because like I said earlier, and you actually mentioned it first, only certain people classified as elite knew about this type of information. So they became wealthy and we stayed wherever we were economically.
Exactly.
Does anybody know when Trump is leaving the country? Jamie asked, because you said it doesn't happen until he leaves the country.
I mean, he's not even officially representing the country right now.
Mm, right, right. So we don't know.
Have you noticed how much influence things have changed already just since the November 5th election, and as far as the way other countries are responding?
Oh yes, they're like actually saying we want to work with you. I think what Xi Jinping of China said that. Vladimir Putin said he wants to work with Trump. Yeah, people are getting on board.
They're
And
not.
things are moving
They're not
fast.
calling Biden.
You know what? That's true. They are not calling Biden, and he's supposedly the president at this time. So that should tell us something. Here's a question. Kim asks, when are the banks going to stop repossessing cars and coming after us for credit cards?
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love to know the answer to that myself. Um, the, the, the answer is after NESARA becomes official. And that should be
Mm,
uh, sometime after Trump comes back into office early next year. That will start
okay.
phasing in. One thing I'll teach you about in the consultation is NESARA is not an overnight thing.
Mm,
There's like 20 items that make up NESARA. And two of the last ones will be the doing away with the IRS and I mentioned it
mainstream media,
in the
you said.
mainstream media.
Mhm.
So it could be a 10-year process, I'm told. So it's going to take some time to work all that in, but hopefully we'll be lucky and the credit cards and the debt forgiveness and all of that will be early on. They're
Mm,
testing it now. We call it beta testing. There's people that you will hear about online that said, "Oh, I got a zero, balance on my mortgage, or
mhm,
my son's college education was forgiven."
mm.
They don't say it's forgiven. They just send you a statement. It says zero at the bottom.
Yeah,
I wish to goodness I was one of those people, but I'm not.
not yet.
Because I've got plenty that I would love to have forgiven.
Yes, Lord. Hey, Rod, speaking of forgiving of debts, and we know that this debt jubilee is going to happen where everybody's debts all over the world would be forgiven or paid off. Another part of Nasara was giving everybody a certain amount of money per month. Do we still feel that that's going to happen?
The R&R. Yeah, that is going to happen.
Okay.
It should happen, I would think, starting shortly after Trump takes office. So
Mhm.
later, probably February ongoing. Um, I think there are test groups where people are benefiting from that already.
Mhm.
And again, I seem to get left. I think if you're a public figure, you get left out.
Really?
You
For
know?
real?
but there are those absolutely will be happening, and how you get it is broken down by your age demographic.
Mm,
So for those of us who have achieved a higher number of years in life, we'll be blessed to get all of ours up front.
mhm.
Um, and then there's a breakdown, several divisions. It's like between 35 and 55 and 55 and
Mm.
62 and 25 to 35 and stuff like that. So the older you are, the more you get. The caveat is they learned from COVID that you have to continue to work in order
Mhm.
to get the the compensation. If you don't have a
Okay.
job, you've got to go get one in order to receive it. They're not just
Makes
handing out.
sense.
They learned, during COVID, if we pass out money, nobody works. And the economy has never gotten back to where it was prior to
Mhm.
COVID, as far as employment is concerned.
Right,
Um,
right.
And that was what happened. It's like, oh, and they wanted to see, okay, how wise is the public? How are they going to use the money if we give it to them? Most people went out and bought big screen TVs or went out and bought new cars. And then 90 days later, after COVID was gone and the money was gone, the cars got repossessed because they couldn't make the payments.
Right.
And, you know, the dealers were happy to sell them because they were overstocked and needed to get rid of them. You know, now it's the collection company's problem. They got their cars sold. That's all they wanted.
Wow. Right.
And so they learned a lot from COVID as far as handling the distribution of these R&R programs.
You know, speaking of this money, kind of working like and operating like a universal basic income where everybody's going to have money put into their accounts. I heard that this money will be put into a non-interest bearing account, and it may happen every month over an amount of 11 years. I don't know if you heard the same thing.
Well, again, it depends on your age bracket.
Okay.
If you're retirement age, you'll get it all up front. And then there's a breakdown depending on what age category you fit into. And if you are one of those senior citizens, as most of our listeners are, it's going to be paid directly into your Social Security account. But if not, then it's part of the QFS.
Okay. The quantum financial system. I'm glad you brought that up because
when you call it a non-interest bearing account, that's what it is. It's in the QFS account.
Okay. Okay.
So you were right.
Okay. Guyana's president, Guyana and South America, made a statement earlier this month that he's going to be giving every one of his citizens, or he calls them nationals, a check or a grant in the amount of $100,000. And he said that all you had to do was be over 21 and provide proof of your nationality. And even if you're overseas, he said you can receive the money, but you have to come back home to get your money and you have to present your nationality ID. So they might be the precursor to all of us having some money put in our accounts.
Well, yeah, and that didn't come up either. But the whole thing of this NESARA is, as these distributions are made back to these individual countries, that's going to assist us in sending, getting all of these illegal aliens to go back home. Most of them never wanted to come in the first place. They came because of the horrible conditions they were living under. And if we turn that around and make their individual home countries a plausible place to live, that's where their families are. And they want to go back there because all the people I know that have families in other places all send the money they make here back to them anyway.
Back home.
So, if you've got funds coming in those countries to support you and your family, then it's only common sense that they're going to want to go back home anyhow, and we can assist them in doing that.
That's good. Yeah, that's one way to get rid of everybody. And I shouldn't say get rid of, but help them go back home.
Yeah, well, we'll get rid of all the criminal ones. That's for sure.
Criminal. That's right. Thank you for answering that question. Here's a question: does the RV include Bosnia? Their BAM currency, I guess it's called Bosnia Herzegovina. Hi, Terry. Thank you for that question.
I have not heard that particular one listed. I guarantee you it is not in the first basket.
Okay.
And eventually all of them will get around to it. But that one is not, I guarantee you that one is not in the first one. And even the ones that are in the first one, primarily the four, there's 7 now that you can make money off of, but the ones that we talked about, those are the real profit makers, and the rest of them are kind of irrelevant as far as your personal benefit is concerned. There's 209 countries and territories, 180 countries, 209 if you include all the territories that in addition to those 180 countries that are involved in this RV. They're just not all participating in the first basket. There's about 27 in the first basket. Not all of those are going up. Some of them are going down. Some of them are staying flat. And so you have to know which ones are going to be beneficial to you. And if you don't already, you will be by the time you finish your consultation.
Speaking of consultation, and here, Rod, when will we see the rate change for IQD in the U.S.? You might have to.
Who is that said that?
It's already done, LLC. I don't know who that is.
Already done? Did you just miss the last hour and a half?
You missed it, darling. You missed it, darling.
Oh my gosh. Sometime between this weekend and hopefully the end of January. But to make a short answer, but that's what we're anticipating at this point.
So I want to ask again about the consultation information, family. You can go to Patriot Rod Steele's X account, find him on Twitter. This is what his account looks like, and send him a direct message and put consultation in the message, or I'd like to have a consultation, and he'll get back with you and give you information about, when you guys can set up an appointment and the rate.
I put that banner up after 2016, and it's
wow.
still
That is still true. Trump won. Absolutely. I want to see if I can put that in the chat again, that information. Okay, let's see. We'll give you guys just a few more. We don't want Rod to be too tired. Let's see.
Actually, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I didn't go into the health thing, but after the cancer treatments, I was pretty weak. And so I said, I got to do something. And then at the time, we had pretty good cash flow. So I hired a personal trainer that I was with 6 nights a week, 2 hours a night. And I did build up. My testosterone levels had dropped from about 750. Well, they took them down to 0 for treatment because that feeds cancer and they don't want you having it. So I was just useless after that. And then I managed with the trainer to build it up to about 450, which was about half of where it had been. And still, the 750 wasn't what I wanted. I wanted 1,000. I know guys that have 1,700. They're animals. But anyway, I just wanted to feel good. Anyhow, I didn't. And so the workouts actually helped with that. I was getting stronger. I was losing body fat. I was gaining muscle tones. Everything was going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, I just started going backwards. I started feeling tired. I didn't have the strength I had. Even the trainer said, "You're not performing like you were. What's up?" I said, "I don't know. Wow. I just don't feel right." And so it came in for another blood panel, and they did their next 90-day test. And they said, "Well, your testosterone's dropped another 100 points and you're anemic." They said, "So you're doing too much, too fast. And so back off." Well, I was so tired, and at the time funds had run out, so I couldn't afford the trainer anyway. So I just quit for about 4 to 6 weeks and put about 9 pounds of fat back on. Doesn't take long. Anyway.
Oh, God.
So now I'm starting to try to edge my way back in just on my own, doing what I can as I can without trying to tire myself out too much.
Wonderful. Here's and if you guys want to help him, so that he can get the assistance that he needs, because he hasn't been on the show for a while, he hasn't been able to work, trying to get his health back up since he had cancer, then please consider sending him a financial blessing to $TheMayor84. That's $TheMayor 84. And if you want to do a consultation with him, please contact him on Twitter and he'll be glad to help you. And that way it'll be a win-win situation where you both be helping each other.
And direct message me. And if you're not sure how to do that, there's a little envelope at the top of the banner screen that you can click on, and that will allow you to send me a private message. Do not respond or do not reply to my text. I don't frequently see those. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's a hit and miss thing, and I don't look for them. So that's not the right place to do it. People say, "I don't know how to DM." Well, there's a little envelope at the top of the banner that you can click on, and that will send you directly to your DMs. And hi, Susan. How are you doing?
Ghost Star Mother Susan Price is on. She says, "You look amazing, Rod. God bless you." And Dr. Kia, lovely as always. We love you, Mother Price. Thank you. She's amazing. Sophie says, for Patriot treatment. Oh, she sent $20. Okay, thank you. Let's see. I got to figure it out how to send that to you. She sent you $20. Let me write that down. Thank you, Sister Sophie. because when you send money here, you're giving it to my account here on, I think on YouTube, and they'll add it to me. So Sophie sent you $20.
And you'll get charged for it. You'll end up coming up short.
I know, right? Oh my God. So we're going to have to get that to him, Sister Sophie. But if you want to give him something additionally, can you send it to his Cash App? Let me put the Cash App back up. Excuse me, family. I'll get this money to you, Rod. I'll send it to you tonight to your Cash App.
I'm not concerned about it. Although I will admit, between now and the 30th, things are super, super tight.
Yeah.
I had half of my property taxes for the year were due, and my all 3 professional licenses all had to be renewed all this month.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that took like half of my total availability, which means some of you get coming up short by the end of the month, unless we get enough of you guys in here to get informed where you need to be. I'm like, what, the brokest wealthy person I know.
Well, I'm right there with you. Trust me. Love Being Nubian says sour sop, black seed oil, and sea moss works.
Wow.
Cancer, and then
I'm
somebody
cancer free. That's not the problem.
you're cancer free now. Wonderful. Okay, completely cancer free.
Yeah.
Oh, praise God. Okay.
I just don't have any testosterone.
Let's see. So we got to get your testosterone.
And my blood's anemic, but other than that, yeah.
So grateful to have you, Kia and Rod, explain how this all works. It's our pleasure. Walk and Talk with Todd says, this was an amazing show. I needed this.
Good.
Yes, we're glad to be here.
Making a difference, because usually all I hear from are the trolls that have something negative to say.
Yeah, and it can really weigh you down too, because you know most of the work that we do is for free. Like I don't charge it. I don't, but I do get some compensation now that YouTube has allowed me to monetize. They had taken down I had to create 7 channels. They took down each one of them, so they just now allow me to monetize again. But other than that, the commercials that run, it's free, and they don't give you a lot of money. You know that from YouTube. But all this information we give, all the study and the research and giving it to, it's because we genuinely love doing what we do. We were called to do this, and we appreciate the Most High for allowing us to be here for our soul family. So thank you all, because honestly, without you all, I don't know what my purpose would be. So it's a great pleasure to help you all.
We are the impetus for the entire global financial reset, folks. I don't think you realize the responsibility that comes with that. You know, the old Spider-Man slogan, with great wealth comes, and I'll revamp it for us, but with great wealth comes great responsibility.
That's so true.
We are the ones that are kicking off this whole financial reset. Everything that you're talking about, as far as the R&R, the NESARA payments and so forth, all that's coming, we are the impetus for all that. And so how well we do can have an effect on how quickly the other systems kick out. So they're going to be watching and seeing how we handle things.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. Anthony asks, hi, Anthony. It's good to see you as always. Dr. Kia, if I don't have Cash App any longer, how can I donate to you and Brother Rod Steel? How can they donate to you?
If you DM me, Anthony, I will send you a private PayPal account. I just don't want it out there. It's out there too much already, as a matter of fact. It's already caused problems. And so I will give you that if you DM me.
Thank you for asking that, family. And if you would like to support Dr. Kia, then family, you can send me let's see if I can find that, a Cash App to $ Mama Kia 13. That's $ Mama Kia 13. And some of you have already sent me Cash Apps. I want to say thank you. And I also wanted to say thank you to these people who have been blessing me this week. Brother Dennis, thank you. Chief Mac, you're always good to me. You send me something almost every week. Thank you so much. Barbara Pittman, thank you for the cash out blessing. Michael George, thank you. Sister Shonda, thank you. Deborah Allen, so many people have been blessing me. Thank you. Courtney Richards, thank you so much. Who else? Cameron Frederick, thank you for blessing me with a cash app. Mr. and Mrs. Lassiter Bay, God bless you. Joanne Lamar, thank you. Tammy Black, God bless you. Cameron again, thank you. Maxine Jeffrey, I see D20, thank you so much for the blessing. Tristan Early, you're always coming through for your girl. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Sister Lori, thank you so much. Lori G. Renee Massey, God bless you. Willie Shamar, or Willie Sims, excuse me. Her Sandra Logan, and all of you who have thought enough to send me a cash app blessing, a monetary blessing, PayPal even. I am so grateful. God bless you, have a smile on you, and give you great peace. I see you, Abraham Henderson. God bless you so much to send me a blessing. And may the Most High bless you 100 and 1,000-fold more than what you gave, for being so gracious and helping out our soul family. So my cash app is $ Mama Kia 13. Patriot Rod Steele's cash app, let me see if I can get it up here. Thank you all for asking. Is $ Mayor 84. Yes, that's it. That's it. We are so grateful to you. Okay, let's see. Let me see if we got any more questions. I know I need to go to dinner. Let's see. Somebody's asking, what is about this? I've been getting this question, Patriot Rod Steel. People have been DMing people, pretending to be me, and maybe even some other random people, saying that you need a QFS Ledger wallet. Is that a fraudulent? And they've been saying send them money to set up your Quantum Financial System wallet. What is going on with that?
That is total hogwash. It's
okay.
BS. It's crap. It is fraud. These people need to be reported. You need to report them to whatever site you got notified from. Not only is what they're promoting fraud, but they're also promoting the identities of Dr. Kia, myself, and others to get you to do it. I can't tell you how many people have DM'd me going, would you please explain what you were talking about? I'm paying for this QFS. I'm ready to do it, but I don't fully understand it. Well, it wasn't me, folks. And that's because you're not reading what address it's coming from. It's usually a version of one of us, but it is not us. They will change a number. They will change a letter. Anything that makes it different than what we give you is not us. So stop falling for their crap and report them, because it is totally baloney. There is no need to pay for anything regarding QFS. Your QFS account is provided for you free of charge at your redemption. And when you do get these other funds that are coming from the R&R, that's where they're going to be loaded. So don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't be a victim.
Please don't. Yeah, these people are making money, like you said, being very fraudulent, and I hope they go to jail for it.
Well, they should on several different counts. The fact that what they're doing is illegal in the first place, and then the fact that they're stealing our identities in order to get the credibility to do it is a whole different crime.
Absolutely. Marlon, is it Marlon says, or is it Marlon or Marion? I think it's Marlon says, I sent a DM on X. I felt so connected with my emotions, expecting greatness from God and all the new friends I will make. That includes you both right now. Oh, that's so sweet.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've had people who've been on the show that have used Rod Steele's consultation services, and they tell me, and I mean, somebody that did it like 2 years ago, and many people say, thank you so much. They learn a lot from him. He answers all of their questions sufficiently. He provides forms for your currency exchange. He gives you additional information, like how you can contact him if you have more questions. And the man has been in the financial sector for a long time, so he knows about this. And he was a part of the prosperity programs that a lot of people don't talk about right now that had actually come about. I want to say, was it in the 80s or 90s, Rod?
I got involved in the 90s when it was
In the
still fairly
90s.
fresh. Yeah.
Wow.
And back then they were, part of the funding was coming from high yield trades, where that's the part I was told not to talk about, because our government made them illegal in the United States, although our entire Congress, well, majority of our entire Congress involved themselves in offshore accounts that made them happen. Unless you were wealthy, you couldn't do it anyway. But I mean, the real ones that everybody individually was involved in took like $100 million to be involved in one.
Wow.
What the prosperity programs did was they broke it down and allowed little people to just do what they could to get involved and get their name on a list. And so and part of that participation went to humanitarian projects. And so, like I said, it was kind of the precursor to what we're doing with Zim now.
I see. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Joanne. I saw you send the cash up. I appreciate it. And anybody I missed, I will come back on later and say thank you. I have my Instagram up here on my phone. So when you send a cash app, I get a very quick message and then it goes away. So again, thank you all so much for your monetary blessing. Santa Bell says, Dr. Kia, is my understanding that Ghana, they do give you their $100,000, but they also put you on the voters registry for that country and any laws they pass. Oh, this is Guyana, not Ghana. Guyana, Guyana in South America. Somebody from Guyana actually told me about this, and then I did some research myself. From what I saw, they just get money just for being a national, but I have heard nothing about them having to be put on the voters registry for that country. No, I haven't heard that. So I'll have to look into the information that's put out and see if I can find anything about that. But they each did over 21. They were told they're going to get $100,000, and all of their citizens will be paid by January of 2025. Any stipulations? I don't know. The only thing they said you had to do was be a citizen or a national, excuse me, and provide your ID and be present in the country. Somebody says they asked that you set up your trust for NESARA too. Do we have to set up a trust, or do we need to set up a trust, Rod?
Yes, no. It's not required, and you don't have to in order to get your distributions or to go through your redemption. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Should you? Probably. Just from the standpoint of personal protection. You don't want large assets connected to your name. If people find out that you have wealth, they will create a reason to sue you for it. And so you don't want your name attached to anything that reveals what your value is. And there's also tax benefits, as long as we're under the current IRS laws. But those are going to change under NESARA, as I pointed out in the presentation today. That's all going away, but we're still under those laws until they change.
Thank you. And finally, someone asked, how do we reach Rod? Which platform? Here it is, family. This is his X account.
Never feel like you're talking to a blank wall.
I think people must be coming in a little late. I don't know. Let me see. So that's it. Let me show you his Twitter account. Yes, I do have two YouTube channels, family. Somebody asked that. One is not monetized. I probably need to just go ahead and take that one away. I just sometimes stream from there as well, in case we still have people that want to hear information that don't know where to find me. I'm not making any money on that page, but I kind of just want to be available to you guys, but I need to get rid of that so you won't be confused. Here is Patriot Rod Steele's page. Those of you that are on Instagram probably can't see it because this is connected to my StreamYard and my other social media platforms. And I also put his his link down here, family. Oh, you don't have X? Okay, well, if you don't have X, We can get you his information if you want a consultation with him. Just contact me at kiapruitt@gmail.com and I will get to him, and then he will send me some information that.
Yeah. Have them send you their contact information and you get it to me, and then I'll contact them.
Okay. Okay. So I think that's it. Patriot Steel, I don't see any more questions. Any final words you'd like to say?
Well, I think we're as close to having been there. I know it sounds like a broken record, but the thing is, we literally know about 50% of what all is really going on. And so it's the other 50% that's in question. But of the 50% we do know, it has never looked better. We've never had things happening as fast as they're happening right now. You've got these changes, not just in Iraq, but in other countries around the world, all taking place simultaneously. I think we're literally anywhere from days to weeks away from this happening. And so if you don't have your ducks in a row, get in touch with me, and you will be by the time I get done with you.
You'll be all ready. You'll be ready to go. And you'll get, he's saying, I heard that you'll get higher rates. That's what people have told me that contacted him, that they feel like they're in a position to get higher rates than just everyday people that are just going through the process.
It's a nominal fee compared to the extra millions I'm going to make sure you get.
Praise God. Oh, I'm sorry, Love BN. She says, my question never got answered, Doc. I asked 5 times. I'm sorry. What was it? What was your question? Can you do it real quickly? Type it. Sister, if you type it real quickly in the comment section, we'll get to you before he says sure.
I don't see the comment section, so I can't respond.
My question, let me see. I see something. My questions are not getting answered either. So family, I have almost 2,000 people in the chat. So sometimes the questions go really quickly and I don't see them. I apologize. Just send it real quickly for me. Sheena. So when you see like 2,000 comments and questions, it's hard to filter through. I thought I had gone through all of them, but just ask me right quickly. One of the things I wanted to ask you before we end is it true that we have to sign a non-disclosure agreement when we go to the exchange?
Yes, no, and maybe.
Okay. What does that mean?
There are some banks that say no. There's others that say absolutely. And there's some that say not if you have an account with us.
Okay.
So it really is a luck of the draw. But I'm in the consultation. I'm going to prepare you for that NDA and exactly what it covers, the length that covers, and what you're agreeing to. And it's no big deal, honestly. So I wouldn't be concerned about it.
I always thought that the bankers would have to sign a non-disclosure agreement because now they work for us under this new system. Is that not right? That they would have to sign.
They keep your information private anyway.
Okay.
I certainly wouldn't be, letting tellers have access to my information once you've established those accounts.
I see. Okay. Guys, instead of saying that I'm not answering your questions, can you just take that time and energy to type the question again for me?
Right, exactly.
I have 2,000. Have you ever had 2,000 comments and questions coming like really fast, and you're trying to like listen to your guests and look at your questions and comments, and I'm trying to do a lot.
I've had that too. I've had people DM me, and I look at the first page, and then once the little blue dots stop on the first page, I assume I'm done. And there's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages after that I never saw. And it's like, oh my gosh, this person wrote me a month ago, and I'm just now seeing.
We are really doing our best, family. Charge it to what they say, to your head and not to your heart.
But at least I know now I need to be looking for it. So the problem is, once you get past that first page, you start getting all the trolls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about just negative people that have something nasty to say. I'm talking about women from foreign countries that want my business.
Oh, want your business? Oh, that kind of business.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
and so I'll have several pages of that, and it's amazing how it'll be a different woman's picture on every one, but they'll all say exactly the same line. So
Wow.
it's some kind of business they've got running, and I'm just privileged to be the sucker.
They want your attention. Oh, Rod, can you help someone in the UK with the consultation?
I'll be honest, as I said in the presentation, I have talked with people in the UK. I've had them thank me for the information they gave. I feel a little guilty about it, to be honest, because your banking system is completely different than ours. I can tell you, you will not have redemption centers in the UK. You will be dealing directly with your top lead banks. And I can tell you, we can go over what the rates are here that I assume will be approximately the same, within a few cents over there. But I cannot give you the full benefit of information that I will be able to the U.S. people. So it's your choice. I'm not pushing it.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Okay, Love BN had a chance to type her question. She asked, "What did I hear Rod say? We have to have paperwork to exchange our foreign currencies?"
No. Uh, I'm not sure where the paperwork part came in, other than the fact that I said, as part of your consultation, I'm going to provide you with some forms I'm going to email you that will help you be properly organized prior to, during, and after your redemption appointment. That is not anything that you turn into the appointment. That is just for your own guidance.
Okay. Thank you. I've heard lots of people ask what is the paperwork that they need? How can they purchase the paperwork? And I actually paid somebody like $50 to give me some paperwork a while ago, and it wasn't anything I couldn't have done on my own. I was like, I don't even know why I paid for this. But it was just, in their defense, I think it was just them preparing me for organizing the currencies. So that's good.
Where I draw issues is with people, one in particular, that says it has to be done their way or you're not going to get it done. That's just not.
That's not the case. Right.
And all this 9-step baloney.
People will say all kind of things, I don't know if I think people are getting information from different sources and they're doing the best they can with the information that they have. And so it's our job to use our discernment to figure out if this is true or not for us.
Zim agro checks?
Agro check, you said banknote.com for Zim and agro checks. Thank you, Pink Patriot, Florida. Good enough for me, somebody says. Rod, what do you think about the Zim Farm agro checks? He answered that question a little earlier.
Yeah, they're going to go. They're fairly inexpensive to buy compared to what a regular Zim note would cost you at the places you just mentioned online. So bang for the buck. They're a good deal. Nice to have in your quiver. Certainly not the most valuable. The regular Zim notes will be excessively more valuable than the agro checks, but then you're going to pay a lot more for that 100T Zim note than you would. And it doesn't have to be 100T. You can have 50, 10, 20, whatever denomination you've got. It's just that the rates will be the same rate for no matter what the denomination is. But my point is that 100T note is expensive, and the agro checks are fairly inexpensive. So even though they're not going to return as much, you're not going to spend as much. So it really comes down to budget.
Good answer. My son, who's an economist, told me a long time ago, because I had all these questions about currencies and digital coins because I was new. He said, Mom, you have to do your own research, number one. He said, but a basic one thing we learn in investment and economics is you never invest in something you don't understand and you can't afford. So first you understand it and then make sure it's in your budget. I was like, okay.
And I have made that mistake in the past.
Yeah.
It only takes once.
For real. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Who is this? Chi Virgo says, I talked to a teller at Chase and she told me to come back and they can exchange my currencies. They were way open about it.
Way too open. Shoot, I would have for everything you could get.
Way too open about it. I know. Milk that person for all the information you can, and then come and tell us. Tell the Soul family. Somebody asked on, what is this? But look, I'm frozen over here on Instagram. Some people say the agro checks will not be honored. I don't think that's true. They will be honored as far as we know.
On where you go. Now we're getting back into the consultation again.
Okay.
Some will, some won't. And that's the point of what you need to address when you dial the 800 number, what you're going to tell them in order to know that you get to the correct location.
Good question. Good answer. Chase now has wealth management centers, Deezy says.
Oh, yeah, they're popping up everywhere.
He said it looks different inside of the banks. Wow. Yeah, they're getting ready for us.
Yeah, they're cutting back on tellers and using the floor space for additional, basic wealth management. And why is that? Well, because with the new QFS system, you're not going to need all that floor space. You're actually going to be able to do your entire banking from your phone. And so they don't need all that floor space. And the only reason they have the wealth managers is if they're true wealth managers, then they're not licensed. It's a different set of licenses. You've got investments, you've got mutual bond funds, you've got stocks, bonds, insurance, so forth. Your regular bankers are not licensed for any of that. And so they're bringing in these people. You'll see a lot of wealth management companies as a part of that bank. Most every major top 5 tier 1 bank has their own wealth management firm that's got a contractual association with that bank. And so they will be the people you see in there in that position are representing the investment firm, not the bank, but they're contractually associated with the bank.
Thank you for that. Speaking of which, you talk about these wealth managers and the banks being rearranged. I read an article and I did a report on this. I think it was this summer that said that banks met globally to make sure they were ready to receive tier 2 assets. And it's a brief explanation to let us know that tier 2 assets were foreign assets. So it sounds like they're ready. They made sure that they were ready to receive our foreign currencies. And then the article went on to say that the banks had to prepare to receive the tier 2 assets because this will help the banks to stave off from economic problems and to prevent them from going bankrupt. That was this summer.
Now, I was told that all the tier 1 banks will be brought down, but just because of cabal operations and management, but they'll all come back up again under the new system so that your accounts are actually protected by the QFS system, even though the bank could go down.
Okay.
Now, that does not apply to private individual investment firms. So if you've got money there outside of those banks, you might want to take that into consideration as to how you want to handle things. Thank
you, Rod. Now, I've never heard of T-notes, but someone is asking.
You got to be talking about the ZIM, the
$1
trillion notes.
Oh, the $1 trillion notes. Oh, okay.
That's the
Will
only
they
thing.
be included?
Yeah, and absolutely they are. It's just that not all banks will be handling it.
And the year according to themselves.
To address that when you dial your 800 number. We'll go over that in the consultation.
Okay.
Should
and a year?
Charge in your what?
What T-note should we have in regards to the year?
Now you're getting into consultation questions again, Deidre.
Okay.
But to answer your question, it's 2008. There are some 2009s out there as well that will be taken. Um, and the denomination doesn't matter. Obviously, the larger, the easier it is to deal with, but it's not a requirement.
Okay. And this is something I never heard of was the Gatatillion notes. Will people get paid for novelty notes such as Gatatillion? I never heard of it.
I've heard they will have value, but I can't get anybody to tell me what that is. So my answer to that would be take it in with you.
Okay. So we've been on for a little over 2 hours, family, and I don't want to overwhelm our guests because he does offer detailed information for a fee, but you'll get a lot of information. You get paperwork, you'll get his time and his energy, you'll have his undivided attention. So if you have any further questions, let me see. You can please send him a direct message or a personal message here on X, Patriot Rod Steel here. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you go to the right, excuse me, you should see an area where you can send a direct message. Excuse me. Send him a private message and let him know that you're interested in a consultation. And he will send you information of how to pay for the consultation and how you guys can meet. And I think, do y'all meet on Zoom or something like that? Or is that okay?
Yeah, it's all coordinated through Zoom, and they'll receive an email that gives them the contact link. And when it's time, they just click on it and boom, they pop right in. It's a very simple process.
Okay. That's good. Let's see. I'll try one more time. What you guys, Vince, guess I'll try one more time. The dong hasn't been showing at 39 cents all week. You think that'll be actual rate or you think it will rise? I think you need to is that a personal, is that a consultation question?
I didn't get a chance to read it. I had an interruption. Okay, so
the dong has been showing at 39 cents all week. Do you think that'll be the actual rate or do you think it will rise? Vince Carter asked.
Well, Vince, there you go asking consultation questions again. We're very hopeful that that's where it's coming out. Initially, it was below that. I think you have a right to ask for more than that, and I will go into that detail in your consultation.
All right. And somebody says, Dr. Pruitt, you look fabulous. Thank you, Tracy's Fleming. It's my great pleasure to be here looking good for the Soul family. Kimberly asks, says, thank you, Dr. Kia Pruitt. Thank you, Patriot Rod Steel. As always, the information was perfectly on time. Thank you both for sharing your knowledge. You are welcome. All right, family. That about wraps it up, unless Patriot Rod Steel has something else he wants to say.
No, I can actually smell supper on the stove, and my cook already left for church, so now I get to eat here all alone.
Oh, no. You get to eat as much as you want to. If you want to send Patriot Rod Steel a blessing and to help him get his treatments so that he can get this testosterone back up and running, family, send him a Cash App blessing to $the Mayor 84. Again, that's $THEMAYOR 84. $THEMAYOR 84. The Mayor 84, and he will be very, very grateful for your blessing. That's about it. For those of you who sent me a Cash App blessing, thank you. There's my Cash App, $Mama Kia 13. I'll read those that I didn't get to read a little later, maybe on tomorrow. We appreciate you. We love you so much, family. Go and enjoy your dinner and your family. And that's about it. That wraps it up. We're all going to be wealthy very soon. Stay encouraged. Contact Patriot Rod Steel so he can get you ready for this process and keep your vibrations high. In conclusion, you got something to say in conclusion?
May this be our merriest Christmas ever and the happiest of New Year's.
Amen. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. You've met and spoken to Patriot Rod Steel. We hope we said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Go out and make this a great evening. Bye-bye.
God bless.
God bless. Love you, Patriot.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It's about it, family. I'm a wind this up. I'm about to close out. But if you all had any final questions, I have about 5 more minutes. If you have any questions for me, because some of you said I didn't get to answer your questions, I don't see it. You're welcome. You're welcome. We love you too. Yes, if you want to contact Patriot Rod Steel, he'll send you a Zoom link and you can see him face to face and ask him questions. All right. All right. Nothing else, family? You're welcome. Happy holidays, family. All right, tomorrow is Thursday. Let's see what happens Thursday, and let's see what happens this weekend. We heard that we will have a very Merry Christmas, so we're hoping that means we're all going to be wealthy by Christmas. Oh, one last time, you asked for a Patriot Rod Steel X account. Here you go, family. This is what it looks like. Let me send you his link in the chat. Here's the link in the chat. So I put it in the chat so you guys could see it. All right. This is what it looks like, his Twitter account. Send him a message, and a direct message, not on his page, please, because people, I don't know, when they know that you're doing something to help people, they start, calling you a fraud, and they send low vibrational messages. So please just send him a private message in his inbox. He'll tell you how you can get in contact with him and how you can pay for the consultation. He'll send you a Zoom link and you'll be good to go. All right, family. I love you all so much. Now it's time for me to eat dinner. I'm going to have a nice salad and see what my son wants for dinner, and we're going to call it a night. Thank you again. Oh, I can go ahead and tell you all thank you for the blessing, the Cash App blessing that I didn't get to respond to before we leave. Oh, let's see. Sister Joanne is one. Thank you. Let me see. It's taking a minute to load. Is there a law that will make it legal to deport people who have filed sovereign paperwork? I don't know about that. We'll have to get on somebody who knows about the sovereign questions. Nothing about the Iranian rial. Yes, the Iranian rial is on the list. I don't know if it's in the first basket or the second, but yes. And as a matter of fact, you want to go ahead and get some now if you can, because I couldn't find any last week. I mean, I'll take that back. I found some, but before I could hit pay, it was gone. So people are getting some Iranian rial, and I did hear that it will RV. So that's a question you can ask Patriot Rod Steel as well in your consultations. Let me see who that is. It's in the first basket, somebody just said. Thank you. Joseph said it's in the first basket. Okay. I'm trying to get to you all who sent me a blessing. If I can get to your names to say thank you. Terry sent me a blessing. Thank you so much. God bless you, Terry Allen, Sister Joanne Lamson, Sister Carrie McKenko. Thank you so much. Abraham Henderson. God bless you. Lita Vincent L. I am so appreciative. Dennis, hi, Dennis. Hi, I love you so much. Dennis is always coming through, blessing his sister, blessing me for giving intel and sharing information. And some of you have said, thank you for raising my vibrations. Thank you for keeping me positive. I appreciate you guys telling me that, or thank you for giving me hope, because in this time where most people or many people are struggling financially, we need to know that we're all going to be blessed and compensated for this financial enslavement, and you are going to be blessed. And that's my purpose. My purpose is to read the geopolitical news, go over all the intel or intelligence, figure out what's going on the global scale financially, and then weed through, after I read it all, that information, and understand it to the point, or understand it to the point where I can explain it to you, and then find a positive aspect. So I always try to find a positive spin on everything that's happening so that you can be encouraged and strengthened. and ready for the future. So that's my goal. I've always had the gift of encouragement. So I hope you are encouraged. I hope you are pleased. I trust that your vibrations are raised, and I trust that you are ready for this new golden era into which we're going. And that's why they call 2020 the era of Corona, because Corona, that's why I wear my crown, actually means crown, as in your crown chakra, as in this part of this energy center above your head that has to deal with Christ consciousness. And as I said earlier, that's the second coming of Christ, your Christos consciousness being awakened. You're elevating in consciousness, and you're raising to a high vibrational frequency until you receive your crystalline body. So we're going to leave all this three-dimensional thinking, three-dimensional behaviors behind as the whole planet ascends during this golden era, during Corona. And so the elites were talking to each other saying, we're entering into a golden era. We got to do something to stop them. And so that's why they introduced COVID to try to get rid of us and try to help us to take certain things, shots, to change our DNA and to prevent us from ascending. But even if you took that, please know that the source or creator and the galactics and interdimensional beings that are here to help us have gifted us with the med beds and other technologies to help us. So even if you took that injection because you were afraid of the CV, or maybe you were forced to through work or whatever, you're gonna have an opportunity to reverse that. So they tried to get rid of as many of us as they could, but they did not succeed. So that was what the CRONA was about. We're moving to a golden era. Somebody says, thank you, Vietnamese Dong. Yes, the Vietnamese Dong will go. He mentioned that. And that's about it, family. I could stay on longer, but I need to go eat dinner. Thank you so much. I love you all. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Good night.